Hi everybody, Brian from Steeda, spotlighting our front sway bar for the Fusion Sport model years 2017 through 2019. A great way to add some high-speed stability. The Fusion Sport was really a package that took many people by surprise. It took all the great things about the Fusion, you had the all-wheel drive into it, and added a ton of horsepower. And this horsepower and torque were very usable on a daily basis, but also gave the car a very sporting feel and a different performance level than typical Fusion owners were used to. Of course, this can always be improved on. Although Ford put a ton of emphasis on improving the performance of the Fusion, especially the Sport model to further differentiate it from the other Fusions, they really had a challenge when it came to balancing out the handling aspect of the car. They wanted to provide something that was easy to cruise across the country with, but also something that maybe you could throw around your local autocross course with, or even attend a track day. This is where some of these improvements come in that we've spoken about. We've talked about the rear sway bar, the lowering springs, and now ultimately the front sway bar. This is a great way to add stability through high-speed corners to your Ford Fusion Sport. It's also a great way to add additional steering feel and responsiveness because you're ultimately tightening up the front end. You're adding anti-roll benefits to the front of the car. Sometimes we call this an anti-roll bar, sometimes we call it a stay or stabilizer bar, sometimes simply a front sway bar. Today, I'm just going to stick with front sway bar. The way the front sway bar works is pretty straightforward. It obviously links to both front suspension points, and as one wheel travels, the other side's going to want to try to pull up against that. But you know that as you're going through a corner, the car wants to lean or roll. And as this is happening, the sway bar is going to want to pull up on the inside suspension. But it's working against that spring. So if it's working against that spring, that means this side ultimately is stiffer. That's how it reduces roll. That's how it keeps the car flatter. This is really important in high-speed corners because you want to always maintain as much front contact patch to maintain as much grip as possible, especially those of you running really wide front and rear tires. Again, the Fusion Sport's been immensely popular with the aftermarket, and it looks stunning with bigger wheels. But I digress. All right, back to the function of the front sway bar. The idea here is to reduce body roll and increase front end roll stiffness, ultimately increasing front end grip. Now, if you're autocrossing a lot and you're running a lot of tight courses, we actually recommend sticking with the front sway bar and utilizing just our rear sway bar for, again, more neutral handling as far as lift throttle oversteer, especially in tight corners. For those of you attending autocross events with a wider, faster course or track days, as well as mountain runs, or just simply wanting to reduce body roll, the front sway bar is a great addition to that rear bar. The other thing about sway bars is they really change the balance of the car. And this is what we talked a little bit about as far as being able to steer the car with the throttle, with your right foot. As you're throttling into it, you want the car to pull out of the corner. But if it starts to push a little bit, you want to be able to lift and just get that back to rotate some. So you're able to utilize the sway bars front or rear or both to really set up the balance of the car the way that you want it. The Steeda front sway bar is 1 1/8 in diameter and 48% stiffer than the factory front sway bar. It is a direct bolt-on and all the necessary hardware, bushings, and brackets are provided, but we do recommend professional installation as the front K-member needs to be lowered. If you're planning to tackle this at home, definitely be safe, and just as importantly, read through the instructions 2, 3, 5 times to make sure that you really fully understand exactly what's going on. Those instructions, of course, are listed at Steeda.com on the product page. Speaking of that, to learn more about this and many of the other great products we offer for the Fusion Sport, other Fusion models, and Ford vehicles, visit us at Steeda.com. We'd love to learn more about what you've done with your Fusion Sport and where you've taken it. What tracks have you conquered and what modifications have allowed you to do so, especially suspension modifications? Definitely post them below. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please click like and share it with other enthusiasts. And definitely ring that bell to stay notified of upcoming videos. To see the latest and greatest things that we're up to with our Fusions, as well as other Ford vehicles, follow us on social media. Thank you so much for watching. Steeda, speed matters.